Alright, hi everyone. I hope you guys are having a great day. So my name is Kimberly Brown and I'm going to be an instructor this semester. So just to tell you guys a little bit about myself, I have a master's degree in clinical psychology from Mississippi State. So clinical psychology focuses on diagnosing and treating psychological disorders, really what you think of when you think of a therapist or a psychologist. And that was what I was planning on doing once I got out of graduate school. But my last year of grad school, they were looking for someone to teach a section of general psychology. And I thought that would look fun and it would look good on my resume and it could be something I could do for a year and then I would go back to clinical work. But once I started teaching, I actually found that I loved it. Now, it didn't always feel that way. I realized the night before I got up and taught my first lecture that I was going to get up and be teaching 100 freshmen, and I was terrified. I really hadn't thought about how difficult public speaking was going to be for the first time. So I did not sleep very much the night before. I consumed enough caffeine to kill a water buffalo, and then went out and taught what was probably a fairly mediocre or maybe less than mediocre lecture. But after the first couple of weeks, I kind of got used to it, and you'll see that exposure therapy works, and I actually found that I was having fun, and I didn't want to stop teaching. So I haven't. So this is my 5th year teaching. I teach at MUW, obviously, but I also teach at Mississippi State as well. So this semester I'm teaching 5 classes, 2 at the W and 3 at MSU as well. So other things to tell you guys about myself, I am married. My husband Michael and I have been married for 7 years. And we have 2 beautiful children. At some point I will have to work a picture into the slides for you guys. My son Christian is 6 and my daughter Maddie is 4. Now the reason that I tell you guys about my kids, first of all, I love talking about them. I'm a very proud mom. But also because my daughter Maddie has a condition called tuberous sclerosis, which the basic idea of that is that she has some benign growths in her brain that cause seizures. And we do have to go see her neurologist on a semi-regular basis. However, we feel very blessed. She's been 14 months seizure-free now, and she's doing great. But I tell you this because there's always the chance that I might have some kind of health situation come up with my kids. And also, there will be one day in February, I'll let you know more about this as we get closer, that I will be out of town because my daughter has appointments. So I'll miss a day of office hours, and I will be a little bit slower to respond to questions for a couple of days while I'm out of town with that. But we'll let you know more about that later. Okay. Other things to tell you guys, I'm a Christian. And that's not something that I'm going to talk about during lecture probably, but it is something I want you to know because it's an important part of who I am. And if you would like to talk to me about that outside of class, we can do that as well. Other things to tell you guys about myself, that's probably enough about me at this point. I'm sure you will get to know a lot more about me throughout the semester. And I do want to get to know you. That's one of the things about an online class. It's hard to get to know my students. At the end of the semester, I can walk right by one of you in the hallway and not know who you are if I haven't had you in a face-to-face class or haven't met you. So please feel free to come by my office hours and introduce yourself. I do hope to get to know you guys at some point throughout the semester. I hope to make face-to-face contact with you as well. Okay. So I want to talk now about this class in particular. I also want to tell you a little bit about my teaching style. So this is my first time teaching personality. I've been wanting to teach this class for a while, but this is my first time teaching it. And what this means, and I'll talk more about this when you see the syllabus, I do reserve the right to tweak things. I might think of something new I want to talk about or change things a little bit throughout the semester. I won't make any major changes to the syllabus, but I do like to continually be thinking about new ways and better ways to do things. So there's a chance I might mix things up a little bit throughout the semester, but we are going to follow the syllabus fairly closely. Also, I'm very excited to teach this class because I feel like personality is one of those things that we can have great discussion about. And I know that it's difficult to do that with an online class, but you'll see that there is going to be an opportunity through our short writing assignments for you to give me your thoughts and opinions about things, and I look forward to that. Something for you to be keeping in mind as we go through the lecture this semester. All of these theorists that have these ideas about personality, they did not come up with these ideas in a vacuum, okay? There is no way to step outside of our own biases and to forget about our personal experiences when we're coming up with theories. Now, this is especially relevant when we're talking about theories of personality, when we're talking about psychological issues. Your experience with your parents and with relationships and with the world, it changes the way that you look at things. This is true of you and true of me, but it's also true of all the people that we're going to talk about, which is why we are going to talk about some background, where they lived, the time period they lived in, what their life looked like a little bit. And that will help us understand where they come from. But just as an example of what I'm talking about here, Adler, as you'll talk about, we'll see birth order later, he believed that middle children were much more well-adjusted than firstborn children. Now, as you might have guessed, Adler was a middle child and not particularly fond of his elder brother. So you'll see that who you are, your position, birth order, family, the way your parents interacted with you, all these things, they influence the way that you look at yourself and the way that you look at other people in the world. So that's true of you. It's also true of Freud. It's true of Rogers, of all the people we're going to talk about this semester. So keep that in mind. We do not have hard answers for everything. We do not have personality completely figured out. But that's one of the reasons why this class is fun to teach. And I hope that by the end of the semester, you'll be able to pick up the things that you like from each theorist and then kind of incorporate them together with your own thoughts to have your own personal theory of personality or what you think makes people who they are. Okay? So I am very excited to teach this class. I do want to touch on my teaching style a little bit. There are a couple of things that are very important to me. The first of which is to be fair, and I also like to be interactive. So when I say fair, what I mean is that I want each student in the class to have the same opportunities to be successful. So I am not going to do some kind of special favor or special treatment for one student that I would not do for others. I tell you this now at the beginning of the class because every semester, at the end of the semester, I'll have a student email me maybe 1 or 2 points away from the next letter grade and they just want me to bump them up. Okay? I'm telling you now that I don't do that. The reason why I don't do that is because it's not fair for me to do that for one student and not do it for everyone in the class. Imagine that you were 2 points away, someone else got those points and you didn't, and how would you feel, right? Obviously, that would not make me a good teacher. However, I am happy to help students as much as I can, but you have to contact me with your concerns earlier in the semester while we can still work on things. Don't wait until the very end when there's nothing that I can do for you, okay? Something that I like to say here is that I have been in college or around college for a very long time now, and I can tell you that the key to success in college is personal responsibility. What this means is that in a class, there's always going to be a student that makes an A and a student that makes an F. What's the difference between those two students? They have the same teacher, same material, same exams, same grading scale. What's the difference between them? The effort that they put into it, okay? I can't tell you about advanced calculus and German 4, but I can tell you in my class, if you put forth the effort and do your part, then you'll be happy with the grade you have almost always, okay? It is a responsibility, though, on your part. In this relationship, I'm your instructor and you're my student. I have responsibilities there. You expect me to present the information in a way that makes sense and the way that's engaging and entertaining, if possible, while also being clear and giving you fair assessments, answering your emails, being available to you. That's what you expect of me, probably. Because I can't actually get your answer here, I have to assume that that's what you're expecting of me. But I also have expectations for you. As my students, I expect you to watch the lecture videos, to take notes, to ask questions, to study, and to prepare. That's what I expect from you. And so I'm happy to help you in any way that I can, but remember that you do have responsibility here, okay? So feel free to let me know if you have any questions about the class. You'll be getting to know me more throughout the semester, and I look forward to getting to know you as well. My plan for today is to go through and talk about the syllabus, so I'll pull that up in a second, and then we'll really get into lecture and slides next week, okay? So feel free to come by and say hi during my office hours. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and get into our syllabus. Alright, so I have the syllabus pulled up here, and you'll be able to see that this is posted for you on the Canvas page. So this is personality. This is going to be an online class. My name is Kimberly Brown. This brings up the question of what you guys should call me. Every semester I have students that feel like they want to or need to call me Dr. Brown. You can call me Dr. Brown. I will answer to that. However, I don't have a PhD. I have a master's degree, so you can call me Master Brown if you want to. Just kidding. But you can call me Mrs. Brown, Miss Brown. You can also call me Kimberly. I am not offended by that. I will definitely answer to Kimberly. Let's don't go any more informal than Kimberly, though. I did have a student once at MSU call me homegirl, and so we would have to have a conversation about that. So Kimberly is good. or if you can't bring yourself to call me Kimberly, Miss Brown is fine. So my purpose in this class is, kind of as I touched on in the introduction, to have you understand what personality is, to be able to see that all of our theories of personality are flawed, but that they all have some really great components to them. So we're going to talk about personality theory. We're also going to talk about how the theory then is applied in the way that we do therapy and assessment. So we'll get to that in a second. So there is a textbook for this class, and you can find this information on the bookstore website that you can get to through the class schedule on MUW's website. The thing about this book, it's a really great book, and I highly recommend it. But one thing that I do always note is that my personal style is to test from my lectures. So the book is a great resource to have to give you extra examples or extra information, but my tests are really going to come from the lecture videos. Now what that means is that when you're studying for the test, I would really emphasize the lecture videos here. And also, if you have any questions about anything that I talk about, feel free to come by my office hours or shoot me an email. I would be happy to answer those questions. Obviously, you're also required to have access to the internet, not necessarily at home, but you have to have access to the internet to watch these videos, to do the assignment, take the exams, that kind of thing. Alright, so the way that the class is going to be set up is that I'm going to be posting lecture videos, as you will see. Now my plan is to post lecture videos every Monday. Of course, this week is a little bit different because the semester starts on a Wednesday, but starting on next Monday, I'm going to be posting these videos on Monday morning. I have office hours on Monday morning, which is something I forgot to touch on here. You'll find my office hour and my office information here as well, but my plan is, while I'm doing my office hours on Monday morning, to post the lecture video for the week. So what you'll need to do is to watch the lecture video on YouTube. I'll have the links for you up on the Canvas website. And you'll also have some outline slides posted for you. So what I do is I take the slides that I use from lecture and I take words out, put in blanks so that you can take notes. My thinking here is that it forces you to be engaged in the lecture video because you're taking notes, but it does not force you to write every single thing that I say and have terrible hand cramps. So there will be some outline slides posted for you, so you'll use those slides to take notes as you watch the lecture video. If you have questions about any of the material, once again, feel free to contact me. So the grade that you have in the class is going to come primarily from activities and exams. So activities are going to be short writing assignments, and we'll look at the schedule in a minute, but you'll see that we do an activity most weeks. We do not have one this first week, but most weeks we will have an activity. Now, the way that the activities will work is that during the lecture video, I will let you know what the assignment is for that week. You'll also be able to access the assignment when you go to do it on Canvas. So I'll tell you the topic, and what I'll have you do is to think about the lecture video from that week and to write something answering the question. Usually this is give your opinion about something, give an example of something. Okay, so it's a short writing assignment. Now the lecture videos will be posted on Monday. The activities are always due on the following Friday. So you have from Monday through to Friday at 5 p.m., that's when the activities will be due, to watch the lecture video, take notes, and to write your activity response. Then you'll go into Canvas and complete the assignment there. Now the activities are worth 10 points each, and there are 12 activities throughout the class. You do get 2 drop grades for activities though. So I'm going to take your 10 highest activity grades worth a maximum of 100 points, and that will go towards your final grade. One thing to keep in mind is that these writing assignments, they're relatively straightforward, fairly simple, but they do need to be a minimum of 200 words long. Now, it's fine if they're longer than 200 words, but they have to be at least 200 words. So the way that I recommend students do this, if I was a student, what I would do would be to type this up in Microsoft Word and then copy and paste it into Canvas, because when you're typing it in Microsoft Word, you can see your word count. I'm not sure if you can do that in Canvas. So that's something for you there, but you want to have a minimum of 200 words for each activity, okay? If you have questions about these as they come up, let me know. You'll kind of see this when we look at the schedule. So we'll have a writing assignment, a short writing assignment most weeks, not every week as well. The other place that our points are going to come from is going to be exams. So in this class there are 5 exams, and each exam is worth 100 points. And at the end of the semester, I'm going to drop your lowest exam grade. What that means is that you have 400 points possible from exams, your 4 highest exam grades. So the way that this works is that sometimes students will forget to take a test and they'll miss it. Or sometimes students will take a test and they'll bomb it. They won't do well on it. You have the option to use that as your drop grade. Also, what a lot of students in my classes do would be to work hard and do well on the first 4 exams throughout the semester and then use their drop grade as the final exam. So you can also take all 5 exams and I'll just drop whichever one is your lowest, okay? So I'm going to keep your 4 highest exam grades. Now, the way that my exams will work is that exams 1 through 4 are going to be released at the end of each section of the class. They will cover the material from that section and there'll be multiple choice, true, false, matching kinds of questions. They'll be released on Canvas. You'll have 75 minutes to take them. So that's usually fairly straightforward. Students are used to taking this kind of test, but one thing you do need to keep in mind is that you need to complete the exam in one session. So don't start the clock unless you're sure you're ready to finish it all at the same time. Another thing to point out, and we'll talk more about this later, but exam 4 is going to be exactly like exams 1 through 3 in the format. It'll be multiple choice, true, false, and matching, but it will be different because this is going to be our proctored exam because it's an online class and we have to verify our identity. So we'll come back to that in a second. So exams 1 through 4 are multiple choice, true, false, and matching, each one covering one section of the class. At the end of the class, we will have a final exam, exam 5, that's going to be a take-home essay format. So the way that will work is that it will open up, exam 5, the final exam will open up at the same time as exam 4, and you can go in, work on it, save it, come back to it, as long as you submit it by the deadline, which is 5 p.m. on May 12th. Then you should be good. Now, as I said, you do get a drop grade for exams. So what I will do for you is I will go in and post your grade in the class before the final exam. And if you're happy with that grade, then you don't have to take the final exam. But as you can see there, it could potentially help you if you're in a situation where maybe you missed an exam, or if you're just a few points away from the next grade. So we'll talk about that more throughout the semester, but you will know where you stand going into the final. Okay, so at the end of the semester, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up your top 10 activity grades and your top 4 exam grades, plus any extra credit that you have, which we'll get to in a second. That will give you a points total. Your points total will determine your grade. So there are 500 points available, 400 from exams, 100 from activities. If you want an A in my class, you need 90% of those, which means you need 450 points. Now, I will round up at 449.5. I will not round up at 449.25, so make sure, as I talked about earlier, personal responsibility, make sure that you get the points, okay? Students who work hard in my class are usually happy with their grades, okay? All right, so extra credit. There is a maximum of 15 points of extra credit. What this means is that if you earn more than 15 points, those additional points will not count towards your grade, so you can only get 15 points of extra credit here. Now, there'll be a few different ways that you can do this. One will be through practice exams. So before each exam, actually at the same time the exam is released, there'll also be a practice exam that's released. The practice exam will have questions that are either the exact same questions from the exam or similar to the kinds of questions that you'll find on the exam. So my recommendation when you're getting ready to take the test is to go in and take the practice exam first. Now, the practice exam is for extra credit, but it's also there to help you see if you're prepared to take the exam, to give you some extra practice and some extra opportunities to get ready for that exam. So you'll see that those will be released. So there'll be 4 practice exams, one for each of the 4 section exams in the class. Also, later in the class, you will have a chance to get extra credit for setting up your appointment to take the proctored exam, which, as I said, we're going to talk about. And there will be other extra credit opportunities throughout the semester. Okay? My attendance policy, this is an online class, and so attendance can be tricky in an online class. The way that I'm going to be doing this is through your activities. So, you know, MUW has a policy that students must be in attendance for at least half of the class to receive credit. So attendance in this class is going to be qualified as doing the activity for that week. So as long as you complete at least 6 activities, you're good. Of course, you would like to complete more than that, but a minimum of 6 activities. Students who do not complete a minimum of 6 activities will not get credit for the class because they will not meet this attendance requirement. Okay? So there are 12 activities. Do all of them, or use your 2 drop grades, but don't miss more than 6, for sure. Okay? And these must be turned in on time. Okay. The other thing is that I am going to be requiring you to complete a proctored exam. So at MUW, for an online class, there are 2 requirements to verify your identity. The first requirement is that you log in to take the test through using your ID and your password. So that's one way that verifies your identity, but there also has to be a second way. The way that I'm going to be doing that is through a proctored exam. So I'm going to be setting up smarter proctoring, and students can go in and use this system to make an appointment to take exam 4. Now, exam 4 is going to be the proctored exam, and exam 4 is at the very end of the class. So you have plenty of time to get this taken care of. But you do need to let me know immediately if you're not going to be able to take this proctored exam. Sometimes students are in a different state or something like that. They're not going to be able to come to MUW, but you can still take it with another kind of proctor, or if we have to, I can Skype proctor it as well. I've done that before. So let me know if you have any concerns about being able to take exam 4 with a proctor. But this is required for you to be able to pass the class or to get credit in the class. You need to verify your identity 2 ways. Okay? So let me know if you have any questions or concerns about that. As far as makeup activities and exams go, I very rarely give makeup activities and exams because the activities are open from Monday through Friday. The exams are going to be open for a week, as you'll see. So, and because they're online, there's not a lot of opportunity there for you to have something strange happen, like you overslept or you were sick or you were at the doctor's or something like that. However, if something extreme happens, such as if a student is hospitalized or some kind of major family issue, then I will work with you as much as possible. If I do end up giving a makeup exam, though, it will be an essay exam. Of course, you do get a drop grade for exams, so that might be a good time for you to use your drop grade as well. Okay? This is just repeating what I already said. Please let me know, and I put a deadline here at the end of the first section of the course, which is February 13th. If you're concerned about being able to take exam 4 with a proctor, please let me know as soon as possible so that I can find another way to verify your identity, because this is very important. Okay? Also, there's no makeup for the final exam because it's a take-home exam. It just has to be turned in by the deadline. Okay? All right, communication, please feel free to email me. I check my email very regularly. Also, you can come by and talk to me during my office hours or make an appointment with me. Please keep in mind as you email me, though, that I do have other responsibilities. I'm teaching 5 classes this semester, and I'm homeschooling my 2 children. And your emails are important to me, but I do have a lot of students, so please give me a business day, at least, before you get on Rate My Professor and ruin my career. I'm just kidding, but please don't do that. Your emails are important to me, and I will respond as soon as I can. Also, I like to send out emails every week or so, just giving you guys a reminder about activities being due or exams or what slides we're posting this week, what slides we're covering, that kind of thing. Okay? Also, if you have a question about an exam, I set my exams for you not to be able to see the answers right after you take them. The reason I do that is because I don't want students to get together and take the test at the same time. However, after you take the test, if you would like to meet with me to look over your test and talk about it, we can definitely arrange to do that. Okay? MUW academic dishonesty policy. So, what does academic dishonesty look like in this class? This is an online class with online tests. Well, first of all, it would be academically dishonest for you to get together with another person in the class and take the exam together. Okay? Now, please realize that professors can see when you turn it in and how many answers you have in common with other people, when you opened it, when another person opened it, when it closed. Please don't do that, because in addition to creating a lot of extra work for me, you're obviously putting yourself in a very bad position there as well. So I want you guys to get together and study for personality test party, not get together and take the test parties, okay? Also, at the end of the semester, there is a take-home final exam. Please do not plagiarize that. I am looking for information from the course and your opinion. I'm not looking for sources on the internet. Also, on the activities throughout the semester, I give you everything that you need to answer the activities. All you have to do is take the information from lecture, add your own personal thoughts and opinions to them, and that's all that you need. I do not require you to use references. However, if you do use references, please cite them appropriately. Please do not plagiarize, okay? It is not a good look for you, and it's not a fun time for me either, if I'm being honest, okay? Accommodations. If you are a student that requires accommodations, I would be more than happy to give you anything that you need. There does need to be documentation of this though, so you would need to go and talk to the Student Success Center and have them send me some information on that, but please feel free to come and talk to me about that. The Title IX policy, Mississippi University for Women has a Title IX policy. The intention here is to try to reduce any kind of discrimination or violence based on sex. So if you feel like something like this has happened to you, please feel free to come and talk to me. Also, there is information here about how to contact the Title IX coordinator. What I do say at the beginning of the semester, though, is that students often come and talk to me because I'm a professor and because I teach psychology classes. Students come and tell me sometimes about things that are going on in their lives, difficulties, and that's perfectly fine. I want you to feel like I'm accessible to you. On the other hand, I do have to make sure that you're aware that because of my position, I am a mandatory reporter. And what that means is that if you come to me and tell me about thoughts about hurting yourself or hurting someone else, about abuse of a vulnerable adult or a child or sexual assault, then I have to report that to the Title IX coordinator, which is not the same as reporting it to the police, but it is part of my job to do that. So while I want you to feel comfortable coming to talk to me, I also want you to be aware that I would be required to report something like that. Okay? Also, this is my first time teaching this particular class, and what that might mean is that there might be a time throughout the semester when I change my mind about something, where I decide to cover something a little bit differently, decide to add some slides, take away some slides. If I do make any changes, I will absolutely let you know, and they will be not changes that are harmful in any way to any of the students, and not changes that are major in any way. As far as the test or the format, all of that's going to be the same. But I do reserve the right to tweak things throughout the semester because this is, as I said, the first time I've taught this class, and so there might be things that I decide to alter a little bit throughout the semester. I do reserve the right to do that. But I think this is the basic format we're going with here, so you'll see the course schedule. What we're going to do is for each section of the class, we're going to have an exam. So the first section of the class, we're going to cover an overview of what personality is. We're going to talk about Freud and Adler, and then we'll have an exam, which means that exam 1 is going to cover all of this information. And then we'll do the same format as the second exam. We'll cover the second section of the class. You will also see here that you'll have activities due. Now, we do not have an activity due this week because it's the first week of the class and we're still just kind of getting used to this semester, but starting next week, we will have an activity. So you'll need to, this week all you need to do is watch this lecture video and then let me know if you have any questions or concerns. Next week you'll need to watch the lecture video, and also you'll have an activity that'll be due on Friday by 5 p.m. So the activity should open up Monday morning, Monday the 23rd. 23rd is a Monday? Yes. Monday the 23rd it'll open. It'll be due by Friday the 27th. And you'll see the topic for that in that lecture video for next week. So not every week will we have an activity, and I may end up changing these a little bit. We'll see how that goes, but there'll be some weeks here where you don't have an activity, but most weeks we will have one. Also, you'll see that the exams are going to open at 12 p.m. on a Monday, and then they'll be available until the next Monday at 12 p.m. Now, one thing to note here is every semester I have students get confused. This is 12 noon. They open at noon and they close at noon. Now, there's a reason why I do that. It's because I don't want you to take the test. If the test opened earlier, I don't want you to take the test before you have the information for that week, right? So there's a lecture video. I want you to at least have a chance to watch that lecture video. There's a reason that I do it this way, but every semester I have students that get confused thinking that when I say 12 p.m. I mean like midnight, but I mean noon, so keep that in mind. Don't let that sneak up on you. So you'll see that that's fairly standard throughout the semester. One thing is that our last lecture is going to talk about assessment and therapy. So how do we use what we've talked about to try to identify personality issues, how do we diagnose disorders, and then how are we going to treat them based on the way that we look at personality in these theories. So we're going to have a lecture here that is not out of the book. It's going to be different kind of information here, but I felt like it was important to include that at the end of the semester. And then we'll have exam 4 here, as it'll be just like exams 1 through 3 in the format, but it will also be the proctored exam, which means it'll be password protected and you'll need to take it with the proctor. And then the take-home final will be due the next week. Okay? So that is an overview of what the class is going to look like. Please feel free to shoot me an email if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll be looking for the lecture video for next week, and I will talk to you guys then.